In fact, today, I'm going to be setting this up in just a moment, but he's customized this material for us. And you're going to see that as you hear that part of the presentation. So we're going to get a chance to experience tailoring or customizing a program, but at the same time realizing it's for us. So let's set it up. You are NSA Los Angeles. It's actually GLAC, the Greater Los Angeles chapter, okay? So it's GLAC. You'd be a little more blurry-eyed than we are here in Florida. We're much more staid and conservative. And so it's our big chapter meeting of the year.
Barry,
yes.
I'm going to interrupt you. It wouldn't make any sense for GLAC.
It wouldn't work for them.
No, it's for us.
But imagine us. Imagine our gala. In fact, do you remember that David at our gala did his closing? How many were there for his closing? Wasn't that wonderful? Yes. And today he's going to be taking us about 20 minutes in. We're going to be about 20 minutes in a presentation. And he's promised me he'll come back next year and do the beginning. We'll have his whole keynote in 3 years. Please welcome David Glickman.
All right, David.
So let me find out, by a show of hands, how many of you have been paid to speak for at least 5 years and are miserable? Okay, so that's pretty much everyone. That's good. No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a moment. I think each and every one of you sitting there are passionate about what you do. That's why you come to NSA Central Florida. And you are all lifelong learners. And because you're lifelong learners, I wanted to share with you some books that I think could be very helpful in your career. Books that you're probably not even familiar with. I'm going to just show you a few here. I have just a few. No, I think you'll find these books very, very helpful. This first one I'm going to show you is one I think many of you in the room can relate to. Eat, Pray, Sell. A day in the life of a professional speaker. Now, for those of you who are just starting out, we have this one. The Hunger Games, when your expenses reimbursement is more than your speaking fee. Now, some of you may want to use this one as a strategy. 50 Shades of Graphs, using slides that make you look much smarter than you actually are. And here's a book, again, you probably don't even know these ones. Here's a book specifically for your immediate past president, Randy Cairn, How to Be Chapter President Without Crying for Dummies. Very, very helpful, Randy. I think you might enjoy that. Now, I read a lot of business books. One of my favorite business books is Jim Collins' Good to Great. Much better book than his earlier, less popular book, Good to Gooder. Good to Gooder. You will find that many speakers' first books were not as good as their later books, even the folks that we have here today. For example, Barbara Glantz. We all love Barbara. Barbara's so sweet, so caring. One of her earlier books, Handle with Care. You know this book, Barbara, Motivating and Retaining Employees. Much better than the earlier version of that book, Handle with Scare, Intimidating and Detaining Employees. Did much better, this later version. Sally Hogshead was supposed to be here today. CPA Sally Hogshead, her new book, fascinating, How to Make Your Brand Impossible to Resist. Much better than her earlier version, Flatulate. How to keep your brand from smelling awful. Much, much better on this new one. President Barry Banther. A wonderful book. If you haven't read this, you need A Leader's Gift, How to Earn the Right to Be Followed. Much, much better of a book than his earlier version, A Loser's Gift, How to Earn the Right to Be Ignored. Dr. Shirley Davis, you wrote a great book. I love this book, Reinvent Yourself. Strategies for achieving success in every area of your life. Much better than Dr. Davis's first version of Reinvent Yourself, Reinvent Your Shelf. Strategies for achieving success at Home Depot. It did not do well at all. She sold 7 copies. Nothing. Andy Masters, I love your book, Kiss Your Customer. 77 reasons why sales and service are just like dating and relationships. Kiss Your Customer. Andy's first version of this book did terrible. Kill Your Customer. 77 reasons why sales and service are just like depression and rejection. Now, Now, some things are so confusing, so complicated, we have to bring it down to a child's level. That's why we have this book right here, Harry Potter and the Mystery of What Speakers Really Earn. Don't listen to what people are saying. Now, if you like kids' books, I've got more of those. If you give a mouse a cookie, will he give you a testimonial? Maybe? Curious George gets his CSP. What else? Where the Wild Things Are. What really goes on at the board retreat? Randy and a fire hose, I don't know. I haven't been there in years, I don't know. Here's one for those of you who get way too much email from other speakers, but you feel guilty about unsubscribing. Green eggs and spam. Green eggs and spam. Now, if you like Dr. Seuss, we got more of those. Horton hears a whole lot of speakers calling themselves thought leaders. What else? Oh, If I Ran the Zoo, the handbook for dealing with speakers bureaus. Oh, the places you'll go to do a paid speaking gig. Billings in January. Anybody else? Okay. And you know, for those of you doing half days and full days, you know, when you're in front of an audience for a full day, the audience expects you to be responsible for everything. Yeah. Everything. The cat in the parking lot just had 8 kittens, and somehow this is my problem. I don't understand that. All right, enough of the Dr. Seuss ones. Most of you may not know this, but the board of directors for NSA Central Florida actually has a meeting every single week. And sometimes when the board is large, they don't always all get along well. So here's a book to help the chapter's board. Tuesday, whoops, oh, I missed one. Oh, How the Grinch Stole That Booking You Were So Much Better For Than the Speaker They Hired. Okay, that's a funny one too. Not as funny as the one I was going to set up. But see, you're seeing what happens up here. So here's a, again, just for you, these will never be used again.
Yes.
Ever, again.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness. Actually, reinvent your shelf. I'm opening with that next week. Right. So here's a book to help the chapter board get through their weekly meetings, Tuesdays with Morons. There you go. Worth the wait, an agenda, an interruption, and a waste of time. And finally, for those of you who've been out there kicking the tires for a while, you've probably heard this. Here's a book to help you get through it. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Clients who go in a different direction are from Uranus. So those are some books that I think can help you. Aren't those fun? Now, of course, none of those books I showed you are real. But what is real are the laughs that we just shared. You've heard the term best practices. I like to call these jest practices. Yes. It's finding the funny in the challenges that we face. Now, almost every one of those books, many of those books, represented a problem or a challenge that we face. But possibly, for the first time, instead of cursing at it, you were laughing at it. Right. You know, that's what comedians and humorists do. We use this technique. We ask this question, is there another way to look at this? To reframe it, reposition it, restate it, that might make it fun or funny. And most of the time, there is. Most of the time, there is. Now, does it change the fact that this challenge or problem exists? No, it doesn't change it at all. What it changes is the approach, and the approach is everything. It's the kind of thing where if you just have this slight shift in perspective, suddenly you find that you are able to achieve this work-laugh balance. It really is great. So let me give you an example or two. Some of you are still in a day job, transitioning to professional speaking, and you're at the job and someone comes to you, one of your coworkers, and they're saying, oh, when are we going to get new software here? This software is terrible. I can't believe it. You're in IT. Do you have any idea when we're going to get new software? And you just do this and go, unlikely. Ask again later. And now, does it change the fact that they're not getting new software? No. It changes the approach. And immediately they're looking at it from a different way. Another example, coworker comes to you in your cube, your office, your desk, whatever, and says, hey, you got a minute? And they sit down, and 40 minutes later, they are still sitting there. So how do you handle it? What you do is, after 40 minutes, you go, oh, my table's ready. I'm sorry, my table is ready. I have got to go. Well, if you want to keep talking, we can set an appointment, and then usually, no, we're good, thank you so much. And they laugh at that. Again, that work-life balance. I'll give you one final example. How many of you have had to sit through a class or a training that you did not want to be attending? I think everybody has sat through that. And I don't mean NSA CF, because we love every program that's up here, but certainly, well, some months, yeah. But, you know, certainly, kidding. Certainly there are classes that we sit through that we don't necessarily want to be attending. Well, I used to teach a class like that. I used to teach traffic school. Traffic school, 4 hours, here in Florida, 4 hours long. It's about 30 or 40 people, and there are people who got speeding tickets, traffic tickets, and they don't want to be there. Most of them are sitting there with their arms crossed and ticked off, and Felicia, you know this, they feel like they don't deserve the ticket that got them there. Well, we know they did. But they're sitting there going, I shouldn't be here. They were going much faster than me, and everybody's angry. Well, I've got to stand in front of these people for 4 hours. So what do? I ask that question, is there another way to look at this? Reframe it, reposition it, restate it that might make it fun or funny. So here's what I did. I would come into the class, I wouldn't say a word, and I would just do this. This is it, it's traffic school. Don't feel bad, you're not a fool. Almost everyone's breaking the law, but you're the one they caught. And Dave, this is your class. 4 hours long of pain in the butt. Who knows what you'll learn? On with the class, this is it. Boom, and it just changed the dynamics of the room. Now, think about that. Did it change the fact that the people had to sit there for 4 hours? No! They all still had to sit there for 4 hours. But what it changed was the approach. It caused this shift in perspective. And ladies and gentlemen, that shift is the gift. Thank you.
Wow, wow.